Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live, the beta beat. My name is Kylee Peña, and I'm a senior product marketing manager for Pro Editorial. And I've got a colleague joining for, I believe it's your first Adobe Live, right, Jason?
This might technically be my first Adobe Live. Yeah, thanks, Kylie. I'm really happy to
Yes.
be here.
Awesome. And tell us what you do at Adobe.
My name is Jason Druss. I am a senior product marketing manager here on the Pro Video team at Adobe. And in my remit, I cover a lot of our motion workflows, color workflows, amongst a few others. So I'm very
Yeah.
heavy into After Effects and heavy into color correction.
Yes. And so your background is as a colorist, right? Can you tell us a little bit about like how you came up into this in this industry, in this role?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I joke about how grateful I am to be here and how you could try to take career steps 100 million different ways and not end up, in the place you are at any given time. But spent most of my time in my career as a colorist. Before I was at Adobe, I was a PMM on the Frame.io team. I also spent a good amount of time as a senior colorist at Warner Media Studios in Atlanta. I was a colorist at NFL Films and had a little boutique of my own, a little color boutique in Philadelphia called Good Grades, which I owned and operated for about 10 years.
That is such a good name for Color Boutique. Oh my gosh, good grades. Ugh,
Thanks. It was
I love
cute. It
it.
was kitschy. We had like school grading style like client sheets and marketing and stuff. It was fun.
Yes. And so I work on Premiere Pro primarily, but Pro Editorial goes beyond that. And so I really work on the core workflows for Premiere, thinking about how to make the experience better for all kinds of editors. I was a professional editor for about 10 years. I've pretty much done it all, used every tool, and worked on every kind of content, I think. Mostly unscripted and documentary type work, which is kind of my personal favorite. But then I went into production technology and spent some time in television and dailies and things like that, and then up into the studio system in production technology. And then I'm like, I really want to work on a product. So Premiere Pro was my first NLE. And so then coming back around at this point in my career to work on it, it has been very full circle. I'm sure you feel similarly, Jason.
Very much, very much. You also have a very, very interesting career path and interesting bits of experience in the on the tech side and as an editor. Yeah,
Yes.
and working together, I think it's safe to say I'll speak for both of us. We love, sharing what's new in these apps with customers and empowering video creatives to find new ways to do the best work, tell their
Hmm.
best stories, and maybe close out a little earlier every day if they can. Spend more time with friends and family and, um,
Yeah.
close down earlier if you can.
Like, we just want to save everyone time. You don't have to tell your clients that you're saving the time. Like, bill the same hours and just take a little extra lunch break, okay?
Totally.
So, yeah, one of my very favorite things to do is to share all of the stuff that we've been working on and to give you first looks at a lot of this great stuff because it's all, whenever we put something in the product, I'm like, oh my gosh, that would have been so great. And I have vivid flashbacks to that. So, we're going to give you a little bit of an overview of a handful of new features and fixes that came into Premiere Pro and into After Effects beta in the last month or so. So, in Premiere Pro, I am going to show you a little update that we made to text-based editing to bulk delete speakers. And so, in text-based editing, you often use it for interviews. So, what if you want to just do a quick cut down and take out all of the questions and only have the answers? So, you can use text based editing, delete a speaker. We also added label color presets into Premiere Pro. This allows you to basically choose all of your colors, save that as a preset, and share it to your team so all of your timelines are organized the same way. And we now have Apple Log support. So if you have a newer iPhone and you shoot Apple Log on it, you can drop that right in and the log will be auto detected. And we've been continuing to work on and tweak the audio workflow features that I showed I believe last month. And so what do we have cooking for After Effects, Jason?
For After Effects, we're going to be going over new label previews for all of your layers in After Effects and for your keyframes as well. It's easier than ever to see the color that you're assigning a label or a keyframe before you select. We're also going to be talking about the ability to copy and paste keyframes from multiple layers at the same time. Yeah, that's a big one. I'm really excited to show everybody that. Another huge time-saving workflow, removing a lot of busy work from your day to day. And last but not least, we have some performance improvements for our really popular AI-powered Roto Brush tool, which allows you to rotoscope entire subjects or objects, even with occlusion, by just dragging a simple line across your subject, letting it propagate, and then doing whatever you need with your roto. So we're going to be going over that as well.
Awesome. So why don't we give a little overview about beta first? So if we can switch back to my screen, I want to show everyone in the Creative Cloud desktop app. If you are a Creative Cloud customer, then you have access to beta apps for everything. And so how you find that is when you open your Creative Cloud desktop app, over here on the left, you can look for apps and then scroll down toward the middle here and you have beta apps. And then as you can see, I've got Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, everything. And our betas, at least for the video products, are updated just about every day. We're pushing a new build almost every day because we've got little incremental updates, improvements, and things that we're working on. And it's really important that we get feedback and usage in the beta because Premiere Pro and After Effects, these are very flexible, extensible applications. And a very flexible app means a lot of different system configurations. So we do a ton of testing internally. We do all kinds of tests, but there's nothing like getting real world feedback from all of the many, many configurations, the just thousands and thousands of configurations. So we can learn from many different types of users. And it helps us to just further finesse the features. We've gotten such good feedback on the new clip colors that we put into the sequence into beta. And, you've all given us some really good feedback, the kind of feedback that you only can get when you're really working and looking at it. And it's a kind of almost subjective feedback, but when you get it all at once from a lot of people, it becomes very objective. You don't necessarily get it, though, when you're just building it. So it's super, super great. And then everybody benefits from this. Everyone gets more stable releases, better designed products, community validated workflows. But also we learn from you when you participate. So your needs are more likely to be served. And, if you're curious, you can get a little sneak peek at what's coming soon into the product. So we have to give a huge shout out and thanks to all the many people that actually use the beta. And it benefits everyone, but I hope that you also enjoy using it because we really make it a feedback loop, right, Jason?
Yeah, absolutely. I've never seen such a strong community as Adobe's Pro Video community. Video folks are loud and passionate and empowered by the tools they use, and we have incredible systems set up to let us know what you want to see in the apps, and then the beta program is a wonderful way for us to provide the fastest, best preview possible as to what's coming into the app. And of course, the feedback on incremental updates as products and features develop, they get sturdier and sturdier and sturdier. This is a really important part of the process before we move new workflows from beta into GA.
Yes, absolutely. And when these things become generally available, like we continue to iterate on them and really, listen and iterate on feedback. And a lot of those tweaks, we have to wait until our next release cycle. And, we release kind of pretty often, but there's still weeks that you might have to wait. So the way to get the improvements right away is just to download the beta and try it out. And it's really important also, I'll mention in the app here, you can click this beaker right here and you can see immediately what's new. But if you click on this little guy, provide feedback, it'll give you a way to report a bug that you might hit or request a feature or just go to the beta forum community and see what's going on because we do post messages in there when we have kind of a more interesting feature that goes live. So that's a little bit of an overview of the beta. It's something I'm really happy and proud about, that we have an open beta. You don't have to figure out how to get in it. It's just there for you. Awesome. Well, why don't we show some stuff?
Let's do it.
Yapping and show some stuff. I'm
Totally.
gonna show Premiere Pro first. So I'm curious. I hope all of you have seen text-based editing. It makes editing video as simple as copying and pasting text. So that is, let me open this sequence up here. I have the text-based editing workspace open up here. So I have that selected. And what it does is it arranges my screen. So on the left-hand side, I've got a big transcript here, and I can do some actions on it. But a really cool thing is I've got this all transcribed here. I've got everything labeled, my speakers, the coach, the interviewer, the athlete, everything. And I can edit this as though I'm just editing a text document. So I can come in here and highlight this and then just hit delete, and it goes out of my timeline here. Or I can, I'll show you on screen here. I'm going to hit right click and hit cut. And then I'm going to go scroll all the way back up here, and I can hit paste or Command V. And it's rearranging it all in my timeline here. Ta-da! So it's a really fast way to really rapidly get a rough cut. I can't believe how fast this is. I've started using it, and as somebody who used to do a lot of talking heads, it's like, oh my gosh, where was this? I used to have to just like listen, like a producer be like, I know we got it. I know we got it. So I'd have to listen very, very carefully and then sit there and like, oh my God, am I just missing it? Is there something wrong with me? Now, if somebody says, oh, I'm pretty sure they mentioned a university, I can just type it in here. If I can like actually type around my light, university, and then it shows me right here and I can jump to it. I don't even have to listen to this for the initial cut. So it's pretty great. If you haven't tried it yet, this text-based editing itself is actually already in Premiere Pro. It has been since last year, but we've been continuing to update incrementally in the beta. So what I want to show you is the ability to bulk delete one of your speakers. So right here, I have, let me straighten things up. I like a tidy workspace. I've got this full interview. It's a full clip. It's got, as you can see here, I've got the interviewer, the athlete, all the way down. I think I have a PA in here as well. And what I want to do is just get to her question. Like, I want to get rid of the interviewer's questions. I want to get to her answers very quickly, because I want to just get to the good stuff. So all I have to do is come up here to this little filter looking icon, and I'll click on it. So I can search text. I can highlight filler words, which are sort of verbal filler words like and So you can bulk delete those. You can bulk delete pauses, and now speakers. So I'm going to hit speaker, and all I have to do is come over here and hit select a speaker. Let me just hit interviewer. So you'll notice here, it's highlighting all of the interviewer's parts. We've got a 7-minute piece here. And let's hit delete. And I can do extract, which will ripple delete, but I'm going to hit lift so you can see where all of the gaps are. And I'm just going to hit delete all. So you'll notice in here, all the interviewer's clips are gone. And now I only have her answers. So that's really an interesting way. Like if you're doing an interview and you always ask the same people the same questions in the same order, all the times when the interviewer talks, just remove it. And then you sort of have a grouping of those, and you can start to pull your selects even faster. So I'm going to hit undo, and I'll do that again. I'm going to delete the interviewer, and I'm going to extract this time. I'm going to ripple delete, close the gaps, delete all, and there they are. So I now have an easier, cleaner, starting point here for myself. So that is the ability to delete a speaker. It's really cool, just another time saver that I love, and we're continuing to iterate on this too. So if you have any feedback, please let us know. Another feature that I'm really, really excited about is color label presets. Let me pull this up. So if you go to Premiere Pro Beta, settings, and go to labels, You can see we've got the label colors in here. We've got, forest and rose and mango and all of your favorite color names that you've definitely never given us grief about. And now you'll notice down here color label presets. So if you've ever worked on a team and you really wish everybody's timelines look the same when you're sharing a project around, this is the way to do it. So now we have default, classic, vibrant, and something called editorial. So if I click on classic, we have the default now, which are these new colors. If you want to go back to the classic, we've got these in here for you. Vibrant as well. So some really nice bright things, and these have pretty straightforward color names as well. This is really cool though. Editorial. This was created by a handful of pro editors that actually have worked on Hollywood films. And these, instead of instead of labeling the colors by color, they label the colors by type of asset. So video is purple, dialogue is blue, things like that. So then when you're sort of organizing things, if I grab these and I right click on it and I want to add a new label, that is video. So you can see here, I can label it as video, or if it's just audio, or if I'm trying to organize, different mixes that I have that right here. I don't have to remember purple is video, blue is audio. It's just there for me. So I think that is super cool. We actually announced this on Valentine's Day, and we in the beta forum, which I'll share a link to in the chat. We also added a Valentine's Day preset with a bunch of cute pinks and purples and whites and reds. So I will share a link to that so you can grab that if you want. You can see how that looks too. Oh, isn't that so nice? It just makes you want to go back to February, doesn't it? So you can save your own, and it's super easy. All you have to do is, you can change these to whatever you want, and then save it. And then you can also open the label, the preset here, and you can also import here. So everything is done right here, saving it, managing them all. Super easy to do. All right, so I have one more thing I'll show you right now, and that is Apple Log. So I'm going to click over here. This is my cat, Sparkle. She is sleeping behind me. And I have an iPhone 15 Pro, and this has USB-C now. So all I had to do was plug in, I have no hard drive with me. I plug in a hard drive to it, and then you can switch to ProRes, and you can switch your settings to record in log. And log just has more, it retains more of the dynamic range. It doesn't bake in the color. It has that sort of, desaturated look. Jason, you're the colorist here. How would you explain log? Why should people care about Apple Log?
Yeah, I'll say this about log, and this is one of my favorite new features in Premiere Pro, by the way. The ability to support Apple Log is awesome. So when you're shooting a baked-in look, when you're shooting with a LUT baked into your camera, or what we would consider the standard Rec 709 look, you're baking in a really heavy contrast curve into your video image. And what's going to happen is when you get into post-production, when you get to color correction, that look is baked in and it's not going away, which means you only have so much latitude to shift and adjust the image before the image starts falling apart and you get banding, artifacts, noise, things like that. When you shoot in log, you're shooting in this ultra gigantic color space, and all of that color information is in the native video file. It shows up all gray and blobby and washed out and loggy, as we like to call it, because it actually doesn't have a predefined color space attached to it. So when you bring in your Apple Log into Premiere Pro, you will be able to tell Premiere Pro to automatically recognize it as Apple Log, do nothing because you want to attach your own lookup table on top of it or add your own look on top of it, or whatever you prefer. But the fact is, now on our phones, we have a color managed workflow to shoot 4K ProRes on the same device that we use to make phone calls. And it's a pretty wacky world to live in, especially when we remember, man, I feel like it was yesterday that we were shooting on on DSLRs and mini DV tapes and trying to find ways to get, professional codec support in your workflow without spending tens of thousands of dollars. And now it's just on everyone's phone.
Right. Like, okay, I realize this is on my floor. So I've just got this. You can get this at Best Buy. You plug it into this, and I didn't even have to do anything. I brought up video. I changed the setting to log, ProRes, 4K, and then boom, it was like, okay, you've got 180 minutes of record time. So of course I recorded my cat. That's what you do with this new feature. And in the workspaces, I have changed to color over here. So you can see I've got the Lumetri color panel. And if I go over to settings, which is something that we introduced last year, we also introduced the ability to auto detect log color video space. So this is what we're talking about. So you can see it's kind of the washed out. I hit auto detect log and it's automatically detected. And it's not just Apple log. It's Canon C log, Panasonic V log, Sony S log, iPhone HLG and HLG. So I've got some Canon here. I've got that. And of course, I've got my cat who is like, what are you doing? Please stop. And so she looks great. And we've also got automatic tone mapping as well. So you can see right here, since it was HDR as well, it's kind of blown out. But it's tone mapped, so it'll bring it back into the SDR range because my timeline is, I think, SDR. Maybe it's not. I don't remember. Oh, yes, working color space 709. Jason's like, oh my gosh, please let me talk about the color. You can see, boom,
Doing
there we
great.
go. Nice roll off here with the bright lights in her little on her little couch. Yeah, so I'm really happy about that. And then I have this new power to record a ProRes log on my phone. It's really bananas that they have that capability. Um, Jason, why don't we switch over to some After Effects stuff?
Yeah, let's dig into it. Thank you, Kylie.
Awesome. And
Awesome.
I
Totally. Yeah. There we go.
the voice of God.
Yeah.
And also I'll reply to Ray. I saw Ray. Hello, you said in the chat, can the presets be located within the library content? I don't believe so. They're within a certain place in the Premiere Pro app structure, but that is a good idea. So I'll check into that, but I don't believe so. All right, we'll go over to Jason for some After Effects.
All right, cool. Well, let's start off. We'll start off small and we'll get bigger and bigger as we go. This is a nice little motion graphic that I have here, advertising a fictional brand that everyone at Adobe is very fond of called Drip. If you've seen Frame.io collateral and Adobe Pro Video collateral, you've likely seen the Drip brand. Let's start off with something small. Let's go over to my layer. Colors over here. And if I go ahead and click on this one drip water bottle layer right here, and I go ahead and click on my label, you'll notice now that in After Effects for the very first time, you actually have the ability to preview the color of the label before you select, which is another huge time saver. And if we go to edit label colors, of course, you have controls here where I can decide that I want, instead of pink, I can go ahead and change this to hot pink if I want to. And
We have
previewing
that in Premiere too. The swatches.
the
I forgot to
swatches.
say
Yeah,
that.
this is
We
new in
got them
Premiere
swatches too.
as well. We all have the swatches. We're all empowered to change our label colors too. And there it is, hot pink. And just to see the
Woo.
color before you select it. And yeah, sometimes colors aren't what you would expect them to be when you click on it. So it's important to be able to see. So if we scrub further here, we're going to see that not only do I have my motion graphics here, before I get into copy and pasting keyframes for multiple layers, I want to go ahead and remind everyone that After Effects now has a native 3D workspace right here in the app where we can actually import native 3D models and animate them right alongside our 2D assets so you can motion design in any dimension that you want to. This drip water bottle that I have right here is actually, believe it or not, a actual 3D model. So if I rotate this in 3D space here, you can see that this is a real 3D model in 3 dimensions, affected by lighting, affected by textures. And if I go ahead and press play here, you can see that I have a simple animation for this to rotate around. So this is specifically a GLB 3D model. If you have, 3D models in your own library, there's also, millions of them available to download or purchase through various sites and communities online. Go ahead and start importing native 3D objects into your After Effects comps. What we're going to look at next are the keyframes for this drip graphic and our text graphic down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up these layers. We have our logo and our text layer where it says it's game time. And as I can see right here, I have a number of keyframes across these layers. And if I want to copy and paste, keyframes, I can just go ahead and drag over them, copy and paste as we're used to. But what I can do now is I can actually highlight all of the keyframes on multiple layers. Go ahead and hit Command C to copy. I'm just going to scrub right over here later down in the comp and hit Command V. And the keyframes from both layers copied and pasted at the same time, which eliminates for every layer that you have where you're trying to copy and paste keyframes, it eliminates that much time for every single click. So if I play this back, you can see that it's going to come out and then back in, out, and then back in. The cool thing about this is that, again, it saves you a lot of time. And for anyone who is wondering and curious, because I had the same question myself when I first heard about this feature, we are working on the capability to be able to, when you paste, reverse the keyframes. So if I wanted this strip to come in and then just go right back out clean the same exact way it came in, we will be adding that functionality shortly. We're still working on it right now. But the ability to copy and paste keyframes from multiple layers is a huge value add in After Effects. And
Yeah. Where was that when I was using it full time?
yeah,
Where
none
were
of
you,
these great
Jason?
features were there when we were in this app 40, 50, 60 hours a week. So I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the Roto Brush tool now. We have some really great performance updates for Roto Brush that I'm really stoked to show you folks. So if we play back this video file right here, we have this dancer. He's crossing his arms in front of his body, which is very difficult to rotoscope. Anytime an object comes in or out of, in front of, or in back of another object that we need to track, we call that occlusion, and it can be very, very difficult to get around. It can be a huge time suck. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up this video in its own preview window. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on my Roto Brush tool. And with the Roto Brush tool, you notice I now have this green brush right here. I'm going to go ahead and hit Command and make this brush a little bit larger. And I'm just going to drag a line across his arms right there to his hands. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw a line from his head across his body onto his pants right there. And Rotobrush did a pretty good job right out of the gate. So I'm going to go ahead and make that brush smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and add this information around the hair right there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Option, which gives me the red brush to remove. Make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to go ahead and remove that. I'm just going to remove a little bit above the arm right there, and that's pretty good. And we'll remove this right here. So he's tracked, he's ready to go. We'll add more to the hands right there, add more to the hands right there. And we're just going to go ahead and, oh, can't forget about the ear. That's important. We're just going
Yes,
to go
that
ahead and play
is.
that back. So as you can see, the comp is now propagating, and it's doing so pretty quickly. I'm just on a very low-end MacBook Pro right now, and as you can see, it's going to propagate forward, and then it's going to propagate backwards. We have 72 frames to go, and normally, especially with arms crossing in front of each other, we would be rotoscoping and manually keyframing this entire thing multiple times over. A workflow like this would take, I don't know, anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour, based on how complex the object is. But as we can see, we have this pink outline around our dancer now, and he's rotoed, he's tracked, he's ready to go. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and turn on my text layer right here. And, oh, do you know what I did, Kylie?
Yeah.
I forgot to duplicate the video asset before I did the roto brush, which is okay because I think if I put the text in between here, it'll give me the same desired output. And no, it won't. And you know what? That's live television, folks. Um, we want the
I
motion
think you
graphic.
might I think you might be on the video itself.
Oh,
If you click back to the comp, there you go.
I am.
There
It's
you
still live
go.
television, but not for the reason we thought. It was a totally
Yes.
different blunder. Either
It's
way, now that
it's
our
hard to
subject,
see on these little screens that we have sometimes.
it is. Now that he's rotoscoped, I can go ahead and play back this comp. And as we can see, the motion graphics just fall right behind our dancer. And as I scrub through here, we can see that throughout his arms as they come across his body right here, he's rotoscoped, he's tracked. We have a super clean motion graphic that is ready for review and approval.
That's wild.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite new tool in After Effects. Now the performance is even faster. It's better than ever before. And this is an AI powered tool. And this is just one of the ways where we're innovating and allowing our users and our customers to use AI to eliminate as much busy work as possible so we can let the robots do the work and we can get back to doing the creative work that matters and getting home on time earlier.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is really the power of AI. It's like the little things, the little tweaks, the things that, I mean, I have manually rotoscoped something frame by frame and it looked like garbage. It's not like I did a better job. So I love the Roto Brush. How I guess I'm curious, the Roto Brush has existed in After Effects for some time, but it's really evolved over the years. And can you talk a little bit about like how you get feedback on something like this to continually update it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this Roto Brush, code we call it Roto Brush 3.0 as a code name. But this resulted from, many conversations with our most frequent active users in the After Effects community. And just like you showed us, Kylie, beforehand, um, if we go over to the little what's new in beta button right here, you can see new changes and all changes. And then additionally, you can go ahead and report a bug, request a feature, or visit the community forums on HelpX so that you too can speak with us, engage, and let us know the RotoBrush isn't working with these parameters in this situation. It's working really well here. How can we split the difference and make this tool even better? Every new tool that we come out with is based directly on community feedback and feature requests and bug reports from our customers. And without it, we can't make these apps as amazing as they are.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think most of our time is probably spent talking to people about how they work because Jason and I come from the industry, but the longer you're not working in it day to day for 12 hours a day or hopefully not, and the longer you're just out of that world, the more you need to reconnect with and understand how things have changed too. Because there's a lot that doesn't change, but a lot does. So it's really an important part of our job. And it's so cool to see Roto Brush evolving like this and After Effects in general. Awesome. Well, why don't we hop back over into Premiere? And I did remember one other thing that I can showcase for y'all here. We do have some marker improvements that went into beta. And I mean, if you're heavily a marker user like I was, I lived and died by markers, honestly. How I organized as an editor, I would pull selects into different sequences, grouped by subject. And I would also then within that sequence place a ton of markers to either show different subcategories of that topic or different people, like all that this guy said about this topic is here and then here. So markers were really important. So you can see here I have the marker window open. I just selected markers right here and I've got the marker panel open. And so I can just, show or hide different marker colors. I can just show the green or red or anything like that. So that alone is pretty cool. But we also have the ability to show all markers, show just sequence markers, or show clip markers. Or you can ignore the selection in timeline as well, which is really cool. So this is really, we've been doing so many improvements to the marker panel because especially on long form, high-end TV, independent film, anything where you really have to orient yourself in a big story with a ton of content, markers are just like a key indicator. And you can come in here, you can orient by name or by notes, however your workflow goes, and you can search that stuff. So the behavior of this window and then the capabilities of this have been improving incrementally. And that's really directly from our constant feedback loop with teams working in film at different levels and in television and really anything which has a lot of moving pieces like documentaries and reality where you have to rely on labels because you're not going to remember every moment as a hit. So check out the markers. And if you're not using markers now, I highly recommend it. It's really cool because you can just come in here and hit M and drop a marker to add sequence or on the clip. And if you hit M again, it'll open the marker panel, the edit marker panel. So you can name it, put in a comment, add the color, anything else you need right there. And then you can jump from marker to marker.
That's really cool. Kylie, I have one question about this new
Yes.
feature.
Mm-hmm.
So since we have integration with Frame.io, which allows our producers and clients to review and approve and have Frame.io comments ripple into the Premiere Pro sequence as markers, is it easy to source those markers up here as well if you wanted to just like a panel of all of your client feedback in one place?
Yeah, absolutely. You can have all of your feedback as one particular color. And you can just make sure all those are one color and then just sort it by that color. And you can see here when I have this selected, it filtered this just to that. And then, so that can be a little annoying when you're doing client feedback too. So you can hit ignore selection and timeline, and then it won't filter that when I click on a sequence. So those are two things. So it really makes that workflow we have with Frame.io, where you can import the markers, all the more powerful because it's all right here, and you have different ways to sort and label as well.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Since we've got a little bit more time, I'd love to show you all the audio workflow that we put in. We put it in late January, but like I mentioned, we continue to iterate on these things over time. And it's through direct feedback that we've been continuing to put in little adjustments, little tweaks, little fixes directly from the things that you've told us about this. So I'm already in essentials. Okay. So I have a sequence here. It's basically like a promo. It's a rough cut for a promo. So I've got an audio track here with a voiceover and different things here, and I've got everything kind of colored. And so one thing you'll notice here is that there are these badges on here now. So let me zoom in a little bit. So again, this is currently in beta, and we are actively seeking feedback on this and improving it. So this one has a little person, and it's so that's dialogue. We have ambiance, sound effects, and music. So what is happening now is there's an AI powered component that when you add audio to your sequence, it automatically detects what kind of audio it is, and it adds this little badge telling you what it is. But it's also a clickable badge. So you can see I've got the marker panel open here. Let's say I want to adjust this dialogue. All I have to do is click on it. And over here, the essential sound panel opened. And then I've got all of the settings for dialogue specifically. If I click on ambiance, anything directly related to ambiance, sound, music, it's all labeled and gives you very specific things. These are the most likely things that you will adjust when you're working with music or dialogue, including enhanced speech, which is now out of beta. And thank you all so much for all of the great feedback that you gave us on that. It really helped, and we were able to debut it in Premiere Pro 24.2, which came out in February. So make sure you update. But you can use enhanced speech in here. And we've also got loudness, repair, clarity, all kinds of things like that. Another of my favorite things is on music, we have automatic ducking. So ducking is bringing the music below dialogue so you can hear the dialogue. And it used to be very manual, drawing keyframes, bringing the levels up and down. But now all you have to do is turn it on and duck against, and then come down to generate the keyframes, and it'll automatically draw them for you right here. So you can see it put them in here for me. Another cool thing here is these fades. So you can see I've got some here. There's this little box here. And all I have to do is drag this off from the side. And then I have a ton of control over how I want this arranged. And I also have a visual, so I know exactly what's going on in my timeline. I know that the audio is going to slowly come up right here. And if I've got two side by side here, I can do a cross dissolve across both of them. So that's pretty cool as well. So you can fade from one type to the other. We also have new clip colors. And as I showed you with the label presets, you have a lot of control over those. We're just trying to make it easier to read, easier to stare at this all day. But also, we've made it so the timeline itself is easier to read by making the waveform scale as your track height changes. So if you've got a ton of tracks and you just need to make them smaller to work across a few different tracks at once, before when you made it all the way small, then you'd lose the waveform view. But now I can just make it all the way down here. Whoop, and it's got the waveform here for me. Whoop. So yeah, when it's like super small, you can still see it. Yay. It's the
Very
little
cool.
things, right?
It really is the little things. The crossfades are what does it for me.
Yes,
That's just
me
cool.
too. Oh, and the effects badge as well. I love this too because I'm one of those people that is very indecisive. So I feel like, oh, I got to go back to the effect control panel. Where is it? I'm like searching here, 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 here. Tons of mouse mileage, dragging that mouse for miles and miles right here. It gets more steps than I do at this point. But I can click on this FX badge here and it'll pop open the effect control panel right here and then anything that I have on it. So I've got dynamics processing on this clip and I can come in and adjust all of my settings there. And if I hover over it, I can see that I have dynamics processing and audio gain, or I can right click on it, adjust some things here, or add effects directly from the timeline, and it'll pop open the effect panel here too, right here. So I can search for exactly what I need and get going. So this kind of collection of features has really been about saving you time, giving you direct access to the things that are most likely going to be used right away, but also making it much easier to go just that level deeper when you do need to dive in and dig things around and really kind of do the finesse. But you should be able to get to a great sounding mix faster, fewer clicks, less dragging the mouse around, less hunting for panels. And we're still putting the finishing touches on this. So please do try it out and let us know what you think about it. It's really important that we get all that feedback so we know exactly like how you want things to behave because we're going to be continuing to work on this for some time and it's really exciting to see. All right, let's see. I'm looking for any questions. If anyone has any questions, I'm watching the chat too. So I love using the beta because I feel like I'm sort of like the insider. And it's really fun to put something in and have customers popping up online like, "Oh, did you see this? Oh, it's so cool. When is it going to ship? I love it." Like y'all are paying close attention, some of you. And I'm like, wow, you must have some kind of like Google alert set, but for Premiere Pro and After Effects. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me see. No other questions right now. Cool. Well, why don't I run through the stuff from the top again? And in case some people missed the beginning, so you can get the Premiere Pro goodness, we'll do a quick overview of what's new in Premiere Pro beta. And then Jason, you can do a quick overview of what's new again, just for any of the latecomers,
Love it.
if
Let's
you
do
don't mind.
it.
And then we'll be wrapping up, okay? All right.
Yeah.
So if you weren't here from the beginning, that's okay. You had to grab your lunch first. I'm going to give you a real quick overview of what you missed at the top of the show. And it was text-based editing. So text-based editing makes editing video as simple as copying and pasting text. And it's been in Premiere Pro for almost a year, if you can believe it. But in beta, we have been continuing to iterate, add features to it, add components. We added in the winter, we added filler word removal, detection and removal. So if you have somebody that says and all the time, you can just quickly get rid of all that stuff. Or if you record by yourself, like product unboxings or social media stuff, you can remove all the pauses. So you're resetting, you made a mistake, you pause for a second, then you reset. You can remove all those pauses to get rid of all that dead space and just get a little bit closer to final. So I have here a multicam clip I already set up. I'm just going to drag it straight into the timeline. And so it's been transcribed already. I automatically transcribed everything as I imported it. So it's already here and I have everything labeled. I've got my speakers over here. I've got an interviewer and an athlete talking about her collegiate career and things like that. And in this panel now, you can hover and see the pauses. And then I can also turn on any filler words too. So let's see. You can turn on filler word detection at the transcript view options. And I'm going to turn on filler words and hit save. So anytime she says or in here, like right here, then it'll say filler and I can actually remove that. That is currently in the current release of Premiere Pro. That's not the new thing in beta. What's new in beta is the ability to bulk delete a speaker. So you just come up here and so filler words, pauses, speakers, hit speaker, and I can select the speaker. So I've got my list here of the athlete and interviewer. So in this scenario, I want to just remove all of what the interviewer said because I just don't need their questions. I've got them on a paper right here. I just want to be able to really step through her answers very quickly. So I'm going to hit interviewer and hit delete. And I'm just going to lift because then it'll lift it and it'll leave gaps. So then I just hit delete all right here. And then I've got all my gaps. So now I can just listen straight through here and I can step through with my arrow key to each time she answers, which is so much faster than having to come in and just like in, out, extract, delete, whatever. So that is the new delete a speaker option. We've got the label color presets. Let me jump over into a prettier looking timeline here. If I go up to settings and choose labels, we now have label color presets right here. And you can save, import, or go to the label color presets on your disk. So you can change these. You can change the colors to any names. You can change the colors themselves. And you can save them here in a list. And I've shared a link in the chat to, since we released this on Valentine's Day, we had a special limited edition preset that you can download for Valentine's Day to make your timeline extra festive. But what I really love is this editorial preset, which was created by Hollywood editorial teams working in Premiere. So instead of label colors, you've got asset names. So when you go to right click to add a color to an asset, it will automatically know like, oh, this it doesn't say purple. You don't have to think like, oh, video is purple in your head and do that translation. It's just like right click video. Okay. And then it happens to be purple. So you have a very beautiful sequence. And of course, Apple log. So let me switch to my color here. And I'm going to switch to, I love switching workspaces, by the way. If you don't work in workspaces, give it a shot because it keeps you really focused and organized. So I'm going to go to the Lumetri Color Settings tab, and it's got all the stuff you need here for color. And so this is Apple log ProRes that I shot on my iPhone 15 of my cat, Sparkle. I just turn on auto detect log color space and it automatically detects it and makes it look just how I expected, just how she looked when she was sleeping on her bed behind me. And that doesn't just for iPhone stuff. It's also for Canon C log, Panasonic V log, Sony S log. So, turn it off. You can do this workflow as you originally remember doing it, adding a LUT, things like that. But we will do the math for you. So just click that little button there and it'll turn it on for the project itself. All right, Jason, do you want to do a brief recap of what we did in After Effects?
Absolutely. Let's do it. We're hopping over to After Effects here. I'm gonna go ahead and actually delete this text layer right here and throw this over on top. We'll go backwards in this case. We're going to start with Roto Brush and
All
then
right.
over into the 3D workspace and copying and pasting keyframes for multiple layers. So we have this gentleman here, this dancer, and we want to put a motion graphic right in between him and the purple background, right? So what we're going to do is use the new and improved AI-powered Roto Brush to make that happen. And we did release the Roto Brush, I believe last fall. It's been in GA for a while, but in beta now we have some performance and propagation improvements that are going to allow this workflow to happen even faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a good frame, something like right here. We're going to open this video clip up in a new panel. And what I'm going to do now, yeah, I have my Roto Brush selected right up here. Now, when I go back, I'm going to go ahead and make my brush larger by holding down Command as I click and drag. And I'm just going to brush one stroke right here. We'll have one stroke across the head and across the arms into the hands. And pretty good job. Let's get more of the hair in the head right here. And I'm just going to make my brush a little bit smaller and just get some of this hair up here. And then go ahead and hit Option and remove some of that emptiness right here one more time. And there we go. That's pretty good. That's what we need. So
Awesome.
without further ado, all I have to do is press play. And now the Roto Brush is going to propagate across every single frame in my project. And again, this is a huge time saver. It's powered by AI. It does the busy work for you. And Roto Brush empowers After Effects users to get back to the creative work that matters without having to sit there and painstakingly Roto Brush or keyframe every single frame. It's even harder in a shot like this where you have occlusion where the dancer's arms are moving all over the place in front of them. So what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and go back to my composition right here and copy and paste my video layer right here, putting the motion graphic in between. And okay, we're dealing with a little issue right here.
Woohoo! I love issues.
Woohoo. Oh, there
I
we go.
have
I
many
think
of them.
that is, well, no, we're back in the composition view. Either way, I may have accidentally
It's
deleted the
beautiful.
background, but our subject is cleanly rotoscoped. What we're going to do now is head over to a different project right here. We're going to go over to the drip logo, and we're going to go ahead and delete these keyframes. Great. So what we have here, first of all, it's important to note that we can now import 3D models directly into After Effects. If I click on let's go ahead and minimize these track labels right here. If I go ahead and click on my GLB file, which is a industry standard file type for a 3D model, and I zoom in here, we can see that this bottle is an actual 3D model that I can move and rotate in 3D space, and I can animate in native 3D right alongside all of my 2D design assets. So it's never been easier to animate in 3D and 2D at the same time in After Effects. This is also something that we released late last year, which is now in GA. And just wait for the updates that are coming very soon. We're just getting started when it comes to animating in 3D and After Effects. So I have this simple motion graphic here. I have a hero graphic and I have some text right here. I'm going to go ahead and expand those. And for a long time in After Effects, you've been able to copy and paste, keyframes. I could just go ahead and highlight these right here. I could copy them. I'll hit Command V over here to paste them. We can see those keyframes are now right down there. I'll undo that action. What we can do now in After Effects is copy and paste keyframes from multiple layers at the same time. So I have my two layers right here. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight all of these, copy them, and then paste them right over here by hitting Command V. And when I go ahead and play that back, we can see we have repetitive movements happening because I was able to copy and paste the keyframes of both graphic layers at the same time. Again, huge time-saving feature for users who are frequently need to accomplish repetitive actions on multiple layers at the same time. And one thing we said before is that we're currently working on, in addition to this feature, we're working on the ability to paste those keyframes for multiple layers in reverse. So you could have a solid in action, a solid out action all happening at the same time without, modifying and moving around those keyframes all by yourself.
Oh my gosh, that'd be
Last
so
but not
awesome.
it's really awesome. I've seen
Yes.
some demos. It's pretty incredible. Last but
Yes.
not least, if I go ahead and I want to change the color of a label of a keyframe or a layer or a keyframe, I can actually see what the colors are before I click on them. We can also, like Kylie showed us before, go into editing label colors, and we have this great menu waiting for us that allows us to change the color of our labels across keyframes and layers. And again, I'll select a keyframe right here. I'll zoom in so you can see a little bit better. I'll go ahead and whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, cool. And you can see the colors are right there. So yeah, that's what's in beta right now in After Effects. Stay tuned because we have a lot more good stuff coming to everyone really soon. And Kylie, just want to say thank you for bringing me on board and asking me to help out with this Adobe Live session. It's been a
Yes.
lot of fun.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. And a quick answer for Ray in the chat. If you're working with multiple people on a production, I'm not sure I would necessarily have one person in beta and one person not, just because, there's extra complexity, but productions works great in beta, great in the stable release, both. Um, so give it a shot and it should be totally fine. We test everything in beta. So yeah, it'll work great for you. And yeah, thank you for everyone for joining us today to learn about what's coming, what's in beta, and then what's on the horizon for Premiere Pro and After Effects. Hard at work, just trying to keep you all super productive, making things faster, easier to find, and uh, jump into the beta forum links, give it a look, give us some feedback, and we'll see you again maybe next month.